It's a pleasure to spend a little time with you today. This is a topic I love. I think it's super relevant in these surreal, bizarre, break in the simulation times we live in now. And I want to kind of talk about a couple of things specifically: how play can spark our creativity, how it can enhance our productivity, and how it can strengthen our relationships. So let's start off with a little icebreaker. Lou and Mike, I guess this is optional, but I'd invite you to join us, t-shirts notwithstanding. Grab a piece of paper if you have one, or maybe a doodle on your phone, however you can draw a couple of things. This is Pictionary style. You don't have to be elaborate, but I want to know where in the world you are. Through a picture if you want. You can write it if you want to do that too. Second, what is a favorite toy from your childhood, something that you like to play with? And then finally, when was the last time you played at work? So I am gonna do my own doodles real quick, like take a minute or so, and then we'll kind of regroup and share them on screen.
Should we put ourselves on video?
Sure, whatever you want. We should get a more exciting background like he has.
You don't see the mess that's right next to me.
Is that, that's the key, huh?
Yeah, I just got to keep it out of frame.
I've been watching these people on TV because it always blows me away. They can make it broadcast quality, but then now they've started using, I think they must be fake backgrounds. They look kind of cut out on them.
Yeah.
Where it's like super out of focus behind them. And
yeah, you can add backgrounds on Zoom.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's a cool little feature.
Oh, that's what we need to do. Change our background.
Okay, I'm going to kick this off real quick. Can you see my little stuff? First, palm tree, because I live in LA. I love the palm trees here. One of my favorite things. One of my favorite toys was a basketball hoop that I had when I was really little. I just loved playing basketball. I could shoot all day. And today is the 23rd, and that's the last time I played because I made this presentation.
We look old.
So I'll pass it to Lou and Mike first, and then David, you can follow up.
What are we supposed to do?
You were supposed to draw
we didn't
these
draw.
questions.
Oh, that was very quick.
If you didn't draw, that's fine too. We can just riff on the answers.
So we're in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Cool, Greensboro. I went to school in Durham.
I did too. I went to Duke too. If you went
Go
to
Blue
Duke.
Devils.
Yeah. With Stacy, David's wife. That's how I know David.
Cool, got it. So you're in Greensboro. What is a favorite toy from your childhood?
Let's go Star Wars figures.
Yes, Star Wars. Cool. What about you, Lou?
I didn't play. I read books.
This is perfect for you then. When was the last time you played at work?
Well, we've been doing weekly team chats that are kind of like play, and what are your favorite movies and stuff. We do team buildings if we were in person, but I mean, we play pretty much. But.
Cool.
I play for a living, so.
What do you play?
Video production.
Got it. Yeah, that is play. That is play.
It's all like toys, it's
He plays
amazing.
poker, online poker for money.
Hey now.
What about you, David?
Well, I just drew a picture of a tree, but I'm not much of an artist. But you can.
They
see
have beautiful trees where he lives.
Yeah.
Did you have?
And favorite toy from my childhood was probably a G.I. Joe doll.
Nice.
And the last time I played at work, I feel like I always play at work. Although we haven't had any in-person interactions, but a lot of what we do is about play, as you know, Chris. And so I'm fortunate. I feel like I get to play pretty often.
That is awesome. Yeah. Here's what I'm talking about with play. It's really just for enjoyment's sake, right? There's no purpose. There's no end goal. There's not money to be made at the end of this. It's just having fun by yourself or with other humans. Being in the now is another, I think, key element of play.
Right.
But that's hard, I think, this year. This is a quote from a co-founder in San Francisco, has a mental health startup. says we're anxious and we're vigilant and we're remote, so we're not as connected to the people in our lives. I live by myself. My family is scattered across the country. I haven't seen anybody for 6 months, right? That's a pretty common experience now for a lot of folks. But what that really means is play is more important than ever before. Sparking creativity in our lives, in our work lives, in our personal lives, really cultivating joy in the things that we do. That's all part of what we need to bring to 2020 despite what's going on. But it's not just 2020. Why so serious? Work is treated very serious here. Working hard and working long hours is a badge of honor, especially in worlds that we live in where there's scale to be made and technology driving big time innovation. You've probably said or heard some of these things before to yourself. I hate Monday. I know that there was a stretch of time where I really hated Mondays. Get back to work. Time is money. All of these I hear a lot in my own head as a lawyer, where the billable hour is really paramount. Be productive. These are all kind of these beliefs that are in our culture broadly. It's in education. It's how we learn in school. Learning to tests. Failure means bad grades, right? Like all of these ways that fear can really kind of weave into the things that we're doing and the ideas we're trying to generate. That comes out in stress. All of us feel stress. Sometimes stress can be a positive, but 72% say daily stress and anxiety interferes with their lives, at least to a moderate degree. 40% experience persistent daily stress. 30%, 1 in 3 people have taken medication to deal with stress. It's pretty pervasive. And then 2020 is dumped on top of that, really exacerbating so many of these stressors that already exist. One of the ways to really counter this with play as a foundation is psychological safety. This is something that's really common among high-performing teams. Google's done a lot of research on this. Bill Campbell, who was a coach to a lot of startups in Silicon Valley, really tried to bring this in all the teams he worked with. It means that you can take interpersonal risks and that there is a sense that you can be comfortable being yourself. One way I think about this myself is, how would I feel expressing disagreement to this person? Would I feel safe with my opinion and my expression of that, or would that jeopardize my employment or our relationship? If those two are bothered by this kind of thing, then there's probably something to do. With psychological safety, that's really like where you can start sparking these imaginative, creative, innovative habits. Pete Docter is somebody that I really admire. He's a Pixar director. Pixar is a company that really brings play into all they do, into great success. And he says the best ideas come when they're joking around, when they're not at their screens or in their email box, but just being. And you have to give yourself permission to do that. To step away from the busy stuff, those urgent tasks that we can get so caught up into day to day. This is something Robin Williams said, which I just love. The world is open for play. The world is closed for so many things right now, but our imagination can still go wherever it wants to go. I know a lot of folks, my siblings especially, are getting a lot more time with their kids than ever before, and they're playing a lot. They're playing at those, really imaginative levels where a world can be created out of nothing. And that's fun it's fun for them to kind of hop back into that world. But that's something that we all have. This is something that Picasso said, all children are artists, but the problem is how to remain one when we grow up. We get so into the ways that work operates now, where you're, again, in front of the screen, doing task-oriented work in cultures that don't promote the failures and the mistakes that kind of come along a creative journey and a playful journey. Kids are very expansive, right? Their world is full of possibilities. They don't know what rules are, so there are none. Anything can be anything if their imagination is put to use. Compared to us as adults, where we're really reductive. We're decision-making a lot. We are thinking about the rules. What is possible? What is feasible? It's much more analytical to be an adult than a kid. And that's all really useful. But if we don't have any expansive time in our day, it's going to get really draining. That's when burnout happens. That's when we get ruts in our thinking. Depression and anxiety are tied to like increased levels of beta brain states, which is what's happening when we're really activated compared to when we're expansive and we're relaxed, we're in flow, we're able to make new connections without fear of some of these other things that come up in adult life. One easy way that I do this with myself is just to be in a yes and mode instead of a no because or yes or, right? Instead of kind of cutting down ideas when they're still seeds, letting them grow, nurturing them. At Pixar, they call this plussing. They try to plus up an idea instead of pull it down. And in that mode, you're kind of suspending judgment. You're suspending that reductive state of mind where anything's possible. And what also happens is you're now serving an idea instead of an ego, instead of the politics of the human experience that kind of underpins so much of like corporate work that we do. It's just expansive. What is possible? Somebody that's really good at this, Tina Fey. I'm just going to play a little clip. I hope the sound comes through. If not, that's okay too. No? Okay. What's happening though, we're getting into this alpha state of mind where we're present, we're flowed, we're relaxed. This is our default. When we play, we're able to harness this and get into a different flow state. So play is something that strengthens relationships. It's the heart of our experience. It's fosters empathy, compassion, trust. I have Kanye and Seth Rogen here because Seth Rogen tells a story of meeting him for the first time. He came by the house, rang the doorbell on the gate, and said, "Hey, is Seth there? Can Seth come out and play?" And he had a basketball under his arm. And this was in 2006, as they were both kind of up and coming, and they've been friends ever since, and they like to play together. Of an adult friendship, I don't know how many times I say that to my friends now. How do you want to go play? Like we did when we were coming home from school. Enhancing productivity. So this is a quote from Tim Brown. He's the CEO of IDEO, which is a design firm. They do product design mostly. They created the first Apple mouse, for example. That's the kind of work that they do. And he says playfulness helps them get to better solutions. It helps them do their jobs better and free people up to do those. So with that, I want to take just a couple minutes to reflect on how we can all play more at work. This is a simple I will statement that you're making to yourself about how you can play more in your day-to-day. Take a minute, reflect, think. If you have that piece of paper still, go ahead and write it down. Add a reminder to your calendar to check in with yourself to see if you're playing in a couple of weeks.
I need to work more.
He needs to work more, not play more.
I was just saying, as long as I get paid, I don't care which I'm doing, playing or working.
I'm going to share mine. If you, I would invite you to do the same if you want to. In a previous job, I used to do a dance party every Friday with my team. Friday is when new albums come out, and so we'd make a playlist together and then play it in the office. And it was a fun mood. People were still getting work done, but they were kind of jamming at their desks. And it's a little harder to do that remotely, but we can definitely play music over the screen. So I'm going to reinstitute my dance party playlist on Friday.
That's a great idea.
Well, I'm happy to go next. At Yole, we used to get together for drinks from time to time, and everybody is sort of distributed. We've been distributed for a long time. So it was a way for us to all get together other than sort of meeting online and have some fun. And we used to do it every quarter, every couple of quarters, and that has gone by the wayside, and we need to institute that. Obviously, there's some significant constraints right now, so we can maybe have a Zoom happy hour, but I think we want to bring that back.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
I've been invited to some Zoom happy hours, but I haven't been able to go. But my team is doing Wednesday lunchtime chats where we talk about what movies we're watching and the series and what we're cooking. A lot of people are cooking a lot more, so sharing that.
Yeah, that's definitely playful.
I don't know how I'll bring more in. I mean, I've got a lot of
our friends wanted to do it, but then we were like, we didn't know what to expect. We were kind of like, what? What do you mean happy hour? What is it?
Happy hour. We can make drinks. I've been watching other people make drinks on their Instagram. But I have so much work to do, real work to do, that it's hard to bring play into it.
Yeah, it is. That's, I remember hearing when I started meditating, somebody say, if you're too busy to meditate, that's the time to meditate. And I think that's true with play too. It's easy to say, I got too much to do, but that is the time to play. That is the counterintuitive part of the experience of play, because you come back in that refreshed state of mind and will be more productive. David, that's all I got. I hope we can all cultivate a little more play in our lives and have fun.
It's funny. I just am doing mandatory training to get a specialist, some sort of, I work for a mortgage insurance company, and we're actually doing really well despite the situation, or at least maintaining our new insurance written and that kind of stuff, because houses are still selling. And
great rates right now.
Right. So financially we're good, which is a different situation than a lot of people are in. But anyway, I was just doing a training to get a certification for work, Mortgage Banking Association type training. But part of it is the 7 habits of highly effective people, which plays into what you were saying too about taking, before you respond quickly and negatively without listening, to take the time to contemplate what you say before you say it, and be positive instead of negative.
It's such an easy thing to do, to just, you've seen this before, you've been in a similar situation, there's information asymmetry, that something they don't, but it's really impossible to know if an idea is good unless it has that time to nurture, to get a little validation, right? This is like a very Silicon Valley thing, the iterations that come with product design. You're putting lots of small bets out in the market, getting feedback, iterating over and over again. And, certainly along the way, you're making a decision like, no, this isn't actually feasible. We have to do that reductive piece and be able to make sound decisions based on, the data and analysis that we have. But it's really a question of timing and signaling to ourselves like, all right, yes, and let's be expansive. Let's think of what's possible instead of what the decision is going to be.
And it's good better for relationships than.
Yeah, totally.
So it's interesting. Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Sorry about